ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। रामो राजमणिः सदा विजयते रामं रमेशं भजे। रामेणाभिहता निशाचरचमू रामाय तस्मै नमः। रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। हरि ओम everyone. Sahana Bhavatu, for this particular class, it is even more important that maybe put forth effort, maybe tune with each other. That is the prayer we chant every time. So in the first session, we had just seen about greatness of knowledge, right? Some of the key points from the last session. We'll just quickly recap. So we saw that even in transactional life, there is glory of knowledge. Even if it is a materialist or even in secular world, nobody can say I can live a happy life with ignorance. And we saw several examples, simple thing like taking the wrong turn, right? Starting from that all the way until so many great things human minds have accomplished. All of that is glory of knowledge. Okay, that is why that portion we reflected upon from a very material standpoint. But then we realized it is not only a bridge and other engineering feats which can bring happiness in my life. I need some more understanding. So that was this particular point we had seen. In addition to secular knowledge, there are other things, knowledge about which will make sure that I have a purpose in my life and I'm able to handle things well. So for example, evaluating situations. Now, if somebody has this clear knowledge about how Karma Siddhanta works, now that knowledge will help me evaluate situations better, right? So knowledge will become the guiding means, or it will give direction to how I look at different experiences in life and how I meet them. So this also is part of knowledge only. It is a glory of knowledge. Okay. And this point, yesterday also we had seen, bhakti should not become jnana virodhi. Devotion, if it is there in our heart, it should not make us develop some kind of distaste for knowledge. In fact, it should lead us towards knowledge. Right? This is the story or analogy that is there in Bhagavatam. Bhakti Mata and Jnanam is the child. So Bhakti has gotten settled well in our life. Bhagwan himself will make sure that it is leading us more towards Jnanam. We should see our own journey. We don't have to go somewhere else. We say if at some point, if some Ashraya Buddhi has come in Bhagwan, our worries will go down. Anxieties will go down. What I would have been without that Ashraya, we can see a lot of difference in our own life when that Ashraya comes. And once that Ashraya is there, once that support is there in Bhagwan, then I can choose to explore certain subtler things in life, which is Jnanam. If mind is constantly having some kind of preoccupation or if it has some kind of anxiety, then it's very difficult to do any kind of subtle thinking. And the first calamity is we start feeling it is impractical. Impractical meaning what? It is not, helping me directly, something like that, or it's not connected to my life. So bhakti, if it is there, then jnanam will become very, very clear. Goswamiji, that is one of my favorite chaupais, he says, sprinkle your eyes with the water of devotion, you will see this world as consciousness. That is his analogy. He says, when you wake up, if you are unable to see clearly, you have to sprinkle water, right? He says, sprinkle water of devotion. Tulasi dasa yah chida vilasa, bujhata bhuje. I will see this creation not as bhuta vilasa, but as chid vilasa. So that is the mahima of bhakti. It should help us strengthen our knowledge. It should take us towards knowledge. And this in previous texts also we had seen. In our vyavahara, what will guide us is dharma. What I should do, what I should not do. Dharmic vyavahara should be there. Our personality should be soaked in bhakti. Mind, if you want to say, it should have devotion. And our understanding should have conviction in Tattva Jnanam. Okay, vyavahara we'll have to do the way we have to do it. That doesn't mean we should start developing some aversion towards Tattva Jnanam. Okay, so all this we had seen last time. So once if somebody appreciates or understands the importance of this knowledge, Prama means knowledge. Vidya, Prama, Jnanam, all are the same words. Then that person will seek that knowledge. That is why that person will become Vidyarthi. And I think in the last class, I did not do sufficient justice to this definition. I did not explain probably what this is. Prakarshena miyate anaya iti prama. Now, knowledge, what it is, our rishis have defined it very precisely. Prakarshena means very well. Okay. Miyate means ma dhatu, it is to measure. Prakarshena miyate, that which comprehends or measures very well. Anaya. Anaya means that thought. By this thought, when clear comprehension takes place of an object, that is called as knowledge. You see the beauty, the precision of their definition. We cannot go here and there once they have defined something. Then they will add something more also. Later we will see that. But prakarshena miyate means very well comprehended. That thing is called as, that thought is called as prama. Because comprehension is not in the body, nor is it in some object outside, right? It is in the mind, it is in the thought. And this definition you can apply for any knowledge. It is true for Brahma Vidya also. But you say in whatever field you are working, when can I say I am a subject matter expert? Means when I have clearly comprehended that thing from all dimensions to whatever extent I can, that person is called as knowledgeable person. So knowledge, they have defined it that way. And if knowledge is what I want, where will knowledge come from? Knowledge will come from means of knowledge, exclusive means of knowledge, which we call as pramanam. This is the connection. First we thought about greatness of knowledge, then we sought knowledge. I became Vidyarthi, but Vidya or Prama will come from Pramanam. That is why we are studying Pramana Vichara. Okay. And then what is the definition of Pramanam now? Definition of Prama we just saw. Definition of Pramanam is Pramayaha asadharana karanam Pramanam. The exclusive means of knowledge is called as Pramanam. An example we had seen, if I am writing, there are so many factors which are needed, but the most exclusive factor there is the pen. So in Brahma Vidya also, you will say there are so many factors which are needed. Like if I am coming to class, I need to walk or I need to take a car, I need to come here, building is there, everything is there. But end of the day, what is going to count for that prama is the word, the thought. All of that is important. Without that, I could not have come. But having come here, that Shravanam which I do, through that, what knowledge takes place, that will become the exclusive means. Okay, that is why we say Upanishad is pramana. Upanishad is the exclusive means for knowledge. Now, what about sadhana? He says sadhana, everything is there, but it will bring us to this point, and then knowledge will take place. That is why knowledge is still the exclusive means. Okay. This is all recap only. I'm not saying anything new. Then we saw there are 6 main means of knowledge. आपको वहां से दिख रहा है? You can see 6 main means of knowledge: प्रत्यक्ष, अनुमान, उपमान, अर्थापत्ति, anupalabdhi, and shabda pramana. We don't have to worry what they are right now. Each one we will see in detail. But the thing is, the first 5 of them cannot reveal the nature of Brahma. Because Brahman is not something which is an object outside, not something which we can see with our physical eyes. So Pratyaksha Pramana cannot reveal it. And the others which are there, Anumana, until Anupalabdhi, they follow Pratyaksha only. When Pratyaksha works, all the other 4, they follow. So then what is the main means of knowledge? We say Upanishads are the main means of knowledge. Okay. And this example we had seen of that mango. If you are buying a mango, knowledge of taste of that mango will take place through tongue only. But you have several other means that you can use to enhance that understanding. Like you can see the color, you can touch, and you can smell. All of that will help us understand whether that mango is ripe or not. But actual pramana for taste of that mango is tongue. So in the same way, knowledge of Brahman will take place through Upanishad pramana only. But you can help Upanishad pramana, help us understand what Upanishads are saying by using other pramanas. Like in Bhagwan's Shankaracharya's Bhashya, you will see so much of logic. Right? Now, logic is not Shabda pramana. Logic is Anumana pramana. Means you are making one statement. Now you are giving some example. You are giving a reason. Now that is not Pratyaksha, or that is not any other pramana. That is Anumana pramana. But you can use it to help understand Upanishad mantra. So that is how other pramanas will help us get conviction in Upanishads. Okay. And then we saw there were a few other pramanas like Aitihya, historical evidence. It is pramana, it is not mythology. In particular, Ramayana and Mahabharata, knowledge will take place about what happened in that time. You might have heard from Ramkrishnananji, Swami Ramkrishnananji, about when Swamiji was doing his PhD, they would ask Swamiji to quote only from Valmiki Ramayana. Why is that? Because Valmiki Ramayana is pramanam. Other Ramayanas which are written, they are also pramanam, but they might have some kind of other bhava included in them. But the status of Valmiki Ramayana is, it is valid means of knowledge. So Mahabharata also, somebody does PhD, you cannot do it on some other book which is written on Mahabharata. That is not our main pramanam. We say go back to original shloka. Vedanta also we should have this kind of intensity, go back to Upanishad mantra every time. But over here, Aitihya pramana means historical evidence. Sambhava pramana is possibility. Possibility meaning, first let us discuss why is it not possible. Whether it happened or not, we'll worry later. First tell me whether it is possible or not. And it is up to you to prove why it is not possible. Because we say it is possible, it is said over here. In Bhagavatam, it is said it is very well possible. Now you prove why it is not possible. Why cannot something fly? Pushpaka Vimana or whatever it is. This is the last time. We won't again discuss Aitihya, Sambhava and everything. Our main focus is the top 6. And last one is gesture. I got the spelling wrong last time. Gesture means through mudra also you can communicate knowledge. That is 9th pramana. In total, we have 6 on the top and 3 down below. Okay, this was just a recap, what we did last time. I know this topic might be new for many people. That's why I thought it's good we spend time recapping and go slow. In this entire Praman Vichara class, even if you don't get anything, it's okay. But this particular topic, please try to get it. Okay, what is the nature of knowledge? What is nature of Prama? Okay, this is a very important topic. Before we go into the 6 Pramanas, we will discuss on this topic first. I hope everybody is ready, online, in person, everybody. You can write down this particular definition. Prama is anadhigatam, abadhitam, asandigdham, smruti vilakshanam. These 4, attributes you call or qualities. Yaha yathartha anubhavah sa prama. Want to tilt it? Okay. These are the 4 things of Prama. Anadhigatam, abadhitam, asandigdham, smruti vilakshanam, yaha yatharthanubhavah sa Prama. Now, any Prama, not only of Brahma, but even of objects in the world or through my physical sense organs, whatever Prama takes place, knowledge takes place, it should have these 4 things. Don't worry about the English translation yet. I'll go through each and every one. Let me know once you are done writing. Anadhigatam, abhaditam, asandigdham, smruti vilakshanam, yaha yathartha anubhavah sa prama. Done? Now pay attention to this word, yathartha anubhavah. Yathartha means what? As it is. And now come to this word anubhavah. Anubhava has two words in it. One is anu, another is bhava. Okay, anubhava word we are looking at now. One is anu, another is bhava. Anu means what? After, following which. That is called as anu. And bhava means that experience which happens. Okay, bhava means that, anu means after. Now, after that, the experience which happens, that is called as anubhava. Yeah, after what? You said anu means after. Bhava means after that. That experience which happens is called as anubhava. But after what? He says after pramana vyapara, the experience that happens or that knowledge which takes place, that is called as anubhava. Right? After praman vyapara, the knowledge which takes place, that is called as anubhava. Now you might have heard the word atma anubhava. Atma anubhava, like I want anubhava of atma. If Mahatmas use this word, we should understand in what context they're using. If normal, colloquially we use that word, sometimes we misunderstand the word anubhava. Because atma anubhava is always there. Without atma, I cannot even speak, I cannot even hear. Right? So anubhava of atma is always there. Without atma, I am not able to experience anything. But if Mahatmas use the word, I want atma anubhava, what it means is, I want to know the nature of Atma as it is said in Pramana. Because right now, my understanding of Atma is finite. So Atma Anubhava is knowing nature of Atma as infinite. So Samarth Ramdas ji has written one stotram in Marathi, and there again and again he's asking different things from Bhagwan. So he says, Bahuta Pathantara Dere Ram. Bhagwan, give me a lot of ability to study. Give me good speech. Give me Artharohana. Every time I study something, may I get something new in that particular thing. Like this, he's asking many things. And one of the things he asks is, Brahmanubhava Dere Ram. And I used to find it very difficult to read that. He said, why is he asking for Brahma Anubhava? Because we keep saying that Brahma is always Anubhava Swarupa, Atma is always experienced. But if Samarth Ramdas ji is writing, Brahma Anubhava, Bhagwan, please give me, he means something more. What he means is, may I have Anubhava of Brahma just like it is said in Upanishads. Kenopanishad, the first Shanti mantra we saw, right? Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam. Upanishad Brahma, which is there, that Brahma I should understand as my nature, not my own understanding. So that is the greatness of this word Anubhava. Anu means after Praman Vichara, after Praman Vyapara, what knowledge takes place, that is called as Anubhava. So Anubhava Shabda, you can also call it as Prama, you can also call it as Vidya. All are the same. Okay, Anubhava, that two letters you split, things will be clearer. Okay, now the first four words. What is the nature of knowledge? Let us look at the first four words. Adhigatam means known. Anadhikatam means it is not known by any other means of knowledge. Okay, so knowledge is that which is known only through a unique means of knowledge. Okay, that is the simple English translation of this word. Anadhikatam. Make sure that you put the negatives in the right place. Anadhikatam means it is known through a unique means of knowledge, not known through all means, but only one means of knowledge will reveal it. Abhaditam, bada means to negate. Abhaditam means knowledge is that which does not get negated. Second one. Third is knowledge is asandigdham. Knowledge is something which is doubtless. Now this we are talking about any knowledge. If I have knowledge, if I say I have knowledge of, let us say this phone, right? But if you say, what is the color of this phone? You say, I don't know. He says, so many doubts are there about nature of that, object. So then you cannot say, I have knowledge of that object. Or even the intricacies of this phone. If I say, I don't know it, I have doubts about it, then I cannot say I have knowledge of it. Now, all this we will apply to knowledge of Brahman also. So knowledge of Brahman also will have all these four qualities, but we will come to that in a minute. Smriti Vilakshanam is a last quality, means it is not recollection. Okay, Prama or knowledge is not something which is recollected. These look like very innocent definitions or innocent looking terms. The implications of this is very, very big. Okay, when we look at each one separately, we will come to it. Good, everybody wrote down the four terms. And these slides, by the way, we will share a link today to the drive. It will be uploaded. Last one I have already uploaded. This one also I will do after the class. So let us come to the first term now. These four terms, if you can try to memorize, please try to. What are those four? Anadhigatam, Abadhitam, Asandigdham, Smriti Vilakshanam. यह यथार्थ अनुभवः सा प्रमा. Knowledge is that which is as is if knowledge is taking place. That thing is called as prama. Okay, the first term we will see now. It is called as anadhigatam. Anadhigatam means knowledge is that which does not take place by any and every means. It takes place only by an exclusive means. Okay, means every object will have a specific means of knowledge. It is up to us to find what is the specific means. Okay. To explain this point, the story is given of 5, or how many are there? 6, right? 6 blindfolded men trying to find nature of an elephant. You say, what is the, how does an elephant, what is an elephant? You know, that was their object of inquiry, and they blindfolded themselves and then went on and held on to one portion of the elephant. So one person says it's a spear. Another person who went near the ear, he says it's a fan. One person who's holding the trunk, you see, is saying it's a snake. Means this is ayathartha anubhava. Yathartha anubhava is knowing it as it is. Ayathartha is knowing part of it or knowing it erroneously. So if knowledge of form has to take place, eyes only are the valid means of knowledge. And that is one of the definition of prama also. So anadhigatam is definition of prama. Right? Knowledge is of that kind that it will have only one exclusive means of knowledge. Take another example. All of you have gone to yogurt land, right? There they say, whichever flavor you like, you taste first, then you pick. Now, no matter how much we stare at those 4 flavors, knowledge of that taste, whether I like it or not, it will not take place. So the main nature of knowledge is such that taste is the only means for that knowledge to take place. Okay. Now you might be wondering, why are we discussing yogurt land and 5 blindfolded? Now you look at this. Knowledge of Brahman also will take place through an exclusive means of knowledge. So much so that it need not be and cannot be validated or refuted by other means of knowledge. Just like whether the taste of that yogurt land ice cream is sour, it cannot be validated or negated by eyes, ears, nose, whatever. In the same way, knowledge of Brahman also, it will take place only through an exclusive means, that is one. But second is, it cannot and need not be validated by other means of knowledge. Now, what is our misunderstanding sometimes? We say Vedanta says something, but let me see if science says the same thing. We are not against science. We will come to Guruji's slokas also. If somebody has done Praman Vichara, they will not make this statement. Because science has another prameya. Its object of inquiry is different. You cannot validate it, nor can you refute it. Now, these are very big statements. We should think more on it and we should reflect more on it. If it is helping us improve our understanding about Vedanta, it's very welcome. But we should not try to prove consciousness through science. That is all. We are not trying to criticize one or the other. We are just saying, understand the word anadhigatam. We will not try to go after erroneous means of knowledge. Okay. Now in Upanishad, the same idea is given with another example. Chandogya Upanishad, those of you who have studied, Upanishad Rishi is very experimental. You know, he is a different kind of teacher. Student asks a question, he does not give direct answer. He says, let's do an experiment. So in one of the questions the student asked, Shvetaketu, Upanishad Rishi says, let us do a salt experiment. Okay, what he does is he gives the student a lump of salt. And he says, you take this salt and put it in that pot. Overnight, you leave it. Next day, the student comes back again. He says, now go and find that salt. Whether it is there in this water or not, go and find it. He might have put his hand in it, did not find it. He might have stared at it, did not find it. Now the Upanishad Rishi says, this mantra is that one, Antad achama iti, kathama iti, lavanam iti. You don't worry about the mantra right now, I'll translate it. He says, now taste that water from the top. Taste it from the middle. Taste it from the down. What do you find? He says, top also I find salt, middle also I find salt, down also I find salt. Now the teacher has opened the minds. He says, stop right there. In the same way, just like you could not get knowledge of salt through your eyes or through your hands, tongue alone was the exclusive means of knowledge. Just like salt pervades this water everywhere, in the same way, Brahman, creation, consciousness pervades this creation in every pore of it. You will not be able to know through erroneous means of knowledge. That is this example. Anadigatam means without using Upanishad Pramana, I will not be able to know my nature as all pervading. Nature of consciousness as all pervading, that I will not be able to know. If I say I want to see myself as that, I want to see Brahman. He says, no, Brahman will not be seen. It will be known through Upanishad Pramana. Okay, that is this Anadigatam. That one word. Anadigatam means not known through other means of knowledge. So it's the same thing. The salt pervades water, every part of that water, yet it cannot be known without using the right means of knowledge. In the same way, consciousness pervades this creation, that consciousness I am. This knowledge also I will not be able to know without Upanishad Pramana. I might be able to know that I am consciousness different from thoughts. Drigdrishya Viveka, if you just do, seer is different from the seen. Right? Object is different from the eyes. Eyes are different from thought. So I know thoughts. I am different from thoughts. But that seer is all pervading. Who will tell me? How will knowledge about that take place? That will take place through Upanishad. And that alone will do my dukkha nivritti. Knowing that I am all pervading, I am appearing as each and every person, each and every object. I as in consciousness. Not the physical body, not the mind also. So this is the first word, Anadigatam. Now Pujya Guruji very beautifully captured the same theme in the first text we studied. We studied means I taught here. You have studied many texts. Vedanta Chintanam or Living Vedanta. If you remember, there were 3 verses on Pramana. Those verses quickly we can recap. Yad Vishaye Pramanam Yat Janiyat Tat Pramanatah Swarupam Nishchitam Tasya Karma Kuryan Narastatah. For which Vishaya, which is Pramanam, that one should know very clearly. Yad Vishaye Pramanam Yat Janiyat. Put forth effort to understand which is the valid means of knowledge. Swarupam Nishchitam. The purpose of doing this whole exercise is knowledge should take place very clearly. Swarupa should become clear. If it is knowledge about the object outside, according to that we will do our Vyavahara. If it is knowledge of Brahma, that will liberate us. When it comes to Vyavahara, Vyavahare Chikitsadi Shastrani Vividhani Syuhu. In Vyavahara, there are so many other sciences which are means of knowledge for that particular object of knowledge. Right? If it is cosmology, medicine, all those are valid means of knowledge for objects of the world outside. Upayogam narastesham yatha kuryat paristhiti. We are not against those means of knowledge according to the situation, according to the requirement. We should use it. But next shloka is very powerful. Guruji's composition, this one. Shruti smrutischa dharmadau vedanto brahma darshane pramanam vidyate sakshat kimanyena prayojanam. But when it comes to consciousness, when it comes to nature of Brahma, Vedanta alone is the pramanam. Brahma darshane dharmadau. To know the nature of dharma or Brahma, Upanishads are pramana, Vedas are pramana. What is the role of other pramana? Pramanam vidyate sakshat kimanyena prayojanam. Not to use erroneously the pramana. Everybody with me so far with the first word? What is that first word? Anadhigatam. Anadhigatam. Okay, that is the first nature of knowledge. Knowledge, whenever we say knowledge, it should be anadhigatam. That is how we should understand. Okay, second one is abadhitam. Badha means that which gets negated. Abadhitam means that which does not get negated. Let us say I form an opinion about one person. Okay, whatever, I met that person sometime. And at that time, that person was very hot-tempered. I formed an opinion that this person is hot-tempered person. But right after that, I went and met that person. And that person was so nice, as though that nothing has happened before. In Gurudev's, many stories you would have noticed this. At one moment, Gurudev would be so angry. Next moment, you will see him very different. Now, what will you call your understanding which you had previously? Badhita, that is the word I was looking for. My understanding that this person is a hot-tempered person became negated right after. So my previous knowledge is not prama. Okay, it got badhita. Hold on to this transactional examples, then knowledge of Brahma will become very appealing. When this is applied to knowledge of Brahma, more clarity will come there. Now, more examples for this. So, what is abadhitam? That which does not get negated. So, knowledge is that which does not get negated by other pramana. It does not get negated with time, nor it gets negated with space. Means I cannot say that today I am Brahma, but tomorrow I don't know what I will be. Or here I am Brahma, but if I go somewhere else and study or learn, there I will have some other knowledge. It's not that nature. Prama is something which is not negated. Now, transactional examples to understand this word, abadhitam. If you put a pencil in water, right, and you look at the pencil, that pencil looks bent. Now, what told us that this pencil is bent? Our eyes. Now you take out the pencil. You say, oh, the pencil is straight. Now, what told us the pencil is straight? The same eyes. So knowledge is that which does not get negated even with conditioning. Now, when can I say I have knowledge of that pencil? Even when I put it inside and it appears bent, my knowledge of it being straight does not get negated. Okay, it should not be that every time I put inside, I feel like, oh, it has now gotten bent. Or I insist that every time I want to know the nature of this pencil, I have to take it out, know that it is straight, and then only put it in. They say no. Even because, why is it appearing bent, by the way? Because of the water. So water is upadhi, water is the conditioning. Even with conditioning and without conditioning, my knowledge should be same. Okay, that is this abadhitam. Second example you can take is of the snake and rope. So I saw a snake lying somewhere Right? In our courtyard, sometimes that pipe looks like that. Okay, I say it is a snake. But after some time, lights were turned on. I went closer, looked at it. Then it became known to me that this is not a snake, this is a rope. Now, what happened to the previous knowledge of the snake? It got badhita. So, what is true knowledge of that object? That this is a rope and rope alone. And even if because of light or anything, now that rope is appearing as snake, I still don't get deluded. Means knowledge is only one. It can appear as two, but it should not do badha of my conviction. Badha means negation. Okay. There might be a lot of questions, so please do write it down. That's why we have last 15 minutes. Okay, abadhitam, just like in this case, previous experience is not called as knowledge. If I take only the snake to be the only truth, that knowledge got negated later. If I took that bent pencil only to be the truth, that knowledge got negated later. So that is not called knowledge. Knowledge is only one which does not get negated. Earth is flat. This was knowledge before for a long time. Right? People thought Earth is flat until somebody came and did some calculations. Remember, they did not go up and see the Earth. When Earth was discovered to be round, it was through astronomical calculations, which in our language is anumana. Okay, some kind of anumana was done, inference was done, by which the knowledge of physical eyes that got negated. Okay, so even with knowledge is that which does not get negated by other pramana. So once knowledge has taken place through a particular pramana, it will remain that way. Last one, if I ask, what is gravity? You would say whatever number gravity is, or you say what is my weight? I will give some number. Now that weight is depending upon my position right now. You have gone to a planetarium or something, right? They have different weighing scales. You see, your weight on moon is very different. This is very good. The weight which I have there or somewhere else. Why is that? Because it is that knowledge of that particular thing is dependent upon several other factors. So gravity over here is something. If you go to space, it is something else. So knowledge is that which does not get negated even by a particular place. Means I am Brahma, whether I know it here or I go to space and then I learn, the nature will be the same. Okay, so knowledge, why did I bring these 4 examples? Because negation is happening by different things over here. You see in the first one, negation is happening because of conditioning. When conditioning comes, my previous knowledge gets changed. Conditioning is removed, my previous knowledge is questioned. When it comes to this rope snake, it is enquiry which negates it. You inquire into nature of that rope, your experience will get negated. The previous experience will get negated. So we cannot call the previous knowledge or experience as Brahma. Over here, the earth is flat. Anumana pramana negates pratyaksha pramana. Inference negates my physical perceptions, through my sense organs. And the last one is space negates our understanding. Means over here, I understood gravity to be something. When I go to some other place, my understanding of gravity is something else. Now, why did we discuss all these things? I should know that knowledge of my Brahman, knowledge of my nature as Brahman should not get negated in time, not get negated in space, or by perception of plurality. right? Just like if I'm perceiving that pencil in water to be bent, my knowledge of that pencil to be unbent should not get negated. Okay, presence or absence of upadhi should not affect my knowledge. That kind of knowledge is prama. Presence or absence of time, whether I know Brahman today, tomorrow, it should not get negated. Okay, and space also, no matter where we go, it should not negate. Means the main point is knowledge should override perception. Okay, perception can be of plurality, but knowledge should be of non-duality. Okay, I think these two are sufficient for today. There are some more thoughts on top of this, but we'll pause here. If there are more questions, you can ask. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om. Okay, so this is the link. If you can just save the link, I will keep uploading the slides onto the same folder. So in person, we'll have to figure out some way to get them the link also, right? We can send it separately, Geetaji. Okay. All right, there are some questions. When describing Anubhava, you used Vyapara. Is it used in same context as Vichara? No, Vyapara means, oh, I see what you're saying. I think I used the word Praman Vyapara and Praman Vichara. That is why you're asking whether Vyapara and Vichara is the same thing. No, Praman Vyapara means we are reflecting upon how knowledge takes place. But when you sit in the Upanishad class and do Shravanam, we don't have to again think about how knowledge takes place. Just sit down and listen to what is happening, what is being told. So thinking about how knowledge takes place is called as Praman Vichara. Knowledge taking place is called as Praman Vyapara. Now, if I'm just, looking at this object and so many things I'm doing in my everyday routine. Now, before you came to this class and studied how Pratyaksha Pramana works, it is not that before that we were not having Pratyaksha Jnanam. Knowledge was taking place. Now it is only systematically defining what we were already experiencing. So that is part of Praman Vichara, systematically thinking. Now that's why I said more we think about Pratyaksha, right? And the terms and terminology, our conviction of Brahma Vidya will become stronger. So that is part of Vichara. Praman Vyapara means you just use that Pramanam and knowledge will take place. We don't have to do too much of analysis at that point. Okay. All right. What does perception of plurality mean? What is a good example for this? What we saw yesterday in Ramayana class, Goswamiji said, if you hold your eyes with a finger, one moon appears as two. Now, two means plural, right? It is more than one. Now, is it actually appearing or is it only a perception? So, in the same way, consciousness is only one. Brahman is only one. But I don't see it that way. I see there is a difference between me and so many people sitting over here. I see difference between me and this object. I see difference between me and Bhagavan. Now that is called as perception of plurality. Remove that finger of ignorance. That finger keeping on the eye is ignorance. Remove that ignorance, everything will be known as the same truth. Perception will continue, but I will know that it is not something different. And I should not use wrong pramana. Upanishad pramana has told me consciousness alone is appearing as everything. That is what I should hold on to, not insist upon seeing everything as homogeneous. Right? If I say everything has to appear one, how will it, which day will come when I will see everything as one? Means physically, huh? Physically, it will never be that way. And Vyavahara also will be different. Rope, a snake and a wild animal or a deer or a cat. We know that all of them are animals, but our Vyavahara is very different with all of them. So in the same way, Vyavahara is according to Dharma. But understanding is all this is Chaitanya only. What about other religious texts apart from Vedas as means of knowledge of the self? Are they also pramana? When we say pramana, every school of thought, every religion has to declare it for themselves. There is no all-arching definition of pramana. That is how we have Astika Darshana and Nastika Darshana. Astika means those who have accepted Upanishads or Vedas as pramana. Now, there are certain philosophers who said Vedas are not pramana for us, and they have their own way of inquiry. So before you start any school of thought, you should declare what is the main means of knowledge. Like materialists, they said, our means of knowledge is sense organs. We don't believe in Vedas, we don't believe in any texts. So according to what you have chosen as your means of knowledge, that will become your pramana. Now on top of that, you can use logic. Having chosen Vedas as pramana, we are using all this logic to understand, right? Why we cannot have other means of knowledge and so on. The definition shloka was very comprehensive for prama. I was wondering what is the source text for this definition shloka. So this is a tunnel. When once you go there, then you will feel tempted to go to that text and so many other places. So I was staying away from that. There is a text called as Vedanta Paribhasha. Vedanta Paribhasha is one text which is all about Praman Vichara. All 6 Pramanas are elaborated in that text. And there this definition comes. But if you want to put it more generic, you say it is definition from Vedanta Acharyas. Some Acharya in this tradition might have thought about this and they have come up with this definition. Okay. But if you want a particular text, go to Vedanta Paribhasha. Now don't ask me where is it available, what is there, PDF and this one, that is up to you. This helps to get knowledge in different 9 ways. How do we start to look for knowledge in different dimension to get depth? I'm not very clear about this question. If you can elaborate, please do. If not, I will try to understand. I will try to answer however I understood this. How do we start to look for knowledge in different dimension to get depth? When different dimension means being able to use other pramana for establishing Upanishads. That is what I would call as different dimension. Vedanta never goes into mysticism. Praman Vichara, if somebody has studied, first their mind will get turned off whenever somebody talks about Brahma Jnanam as mystic knowledge. It is pramana, just like you are seeing an object, with your physical eyes and knowledge is taking place. You say use Upanishads like that hastamalaka, like that amla fruit kept on your palm, knowledge will take place. Only caveat is if Mukura Malina is there. Goswamiji said, even if pramana is there with us, but if mind is disturbed, right? Mind is thinking about something else, or while that Praman Vyapara was going on, mind was distracted, then knowledge will not take place. two things are there. With balat, knowledge will take place. Balat means by force. Okay. So different dimension will come through more pramana and also our sadhana. Means you might have seen in your own journey so far that a stage comes where you feel you are able to use this knowledge to come out of sorrow. Right? I am able to talk to my own mind and say, what is it that you are holding on to before? Have you not understood about nature of Bhagwan, about nature of how karma works, or about your own true nature? On that strength, even if mind is disturbed or something, you have come out of it. Now that means you are getting depth in that knowledge. What was just sitting at the top, it is getting sunk more and more. Okay, so that way we can look at it. All right, I think those were all the questions that were here. So these words we can reflect upon, and more we will continue next time. We saw only 2 words today. Huh? First one was anadigatam, second was abaditam. Very good. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.